Now let's rewind in our mind's eye to when the iPhone first came out. What a cool and exciting time to be alive. We all wanted to get our hands on the cool, shiny new tech. We're just like you. We want the shiny toy. But we're also wired a little bit differently, because not only do we want to get our hands on it, we want to hack it. We want to break it apart. We want to see what's wrong, because remember, we're explorers. We're problem solvers. We want to understand, is the impossible possible? Well, here's the problem. We wanted to be first. We didn't have access to any pre-release versions of the device. All of our contacts at Apple were unwilling to share with us even a peep about what the new computational system might look like. We couldn't even cut the line. We had to wait in that insanely long line like every other crazy person that day for hours and hours and hours. But eventually, we were able to get our hands on an iPhone. And that day, we started poking at it and started finding some things that could potentially be exploitable vulnerabilities. Well, the next day, the very next day, we became the first company to hack the iPhone. We were able to, from our lab in Baltimore, gain full administrative control of the phone of a New York Times reporter at his desk in Manhattan. Now, of course, he was a willing participant in this. He wanted to write a story about it. We would not have done that to an unwitting person. We won't be hacking anybody's phones here today. But this was a really profound example of how Apple had failed to adapt. What we were able to do was gain full administrative control of the phone, which meant we could send and receive text messages. We could activate the camera. We could activate the microphone. We could do literally anything you could do if you were holding the phone. Of course, we couldn't push buttons. We weren't physically there. We had not yet invented magic. But every other thing we could do. Apple had failed to adapt. What we were able to exploit was a buffer overflow vulnerability in the mobile version of the Safari web browser. Apple, in their innovation, in their evolution, in their adaptation, had failed to adapt and update their threat model, their defense paradigm. Apple, with their seemingly endless access to financial resources, to some of the smartest people in the world, even they sometimes have difficulty with evolution. But this was a profoundly positive outcome for Apple. This was a great example of break to build, because we were able to share that finding with Apple. They could immediately fix it.